Welcome everybody. I'm Laura Cole and this is my second Flosstube. You will see I'm not alone today, and those of you who've watched both of my videos know that sometimes my speech is a little touch and go with reality. And so I thought I would do Tracy's talking tag today. And I have my husband here with me, Matthew. And he's going to help me out. Heather C. in her talking tag video invited her husband to also do the tag because he was from Massachusetts and she's from Georgia. Well, we are from a variety of places. I was mainly raised in North Carolina. He was mainly raised in Southern California. And we met in New Orleans, Louisiana. Yep, that's right. And we now live in New Hampshire. So you never do know what's going to come flying out of our mouths. Like versatile. I know it's versatile. Or yard sale chic. I know it's yard sale chic. So here we go. Tracy's talking tag. So the first thing we must do, and I didn't show him these words to begin with, so we'll see. The first thing we need to do is to say each of these words. You want me to say them first?
Sure.
Okay. Ant.
Ant.
Route.
Root.
Wash.
Wash.
Oil.
Oil.
Theater.
Theater.
Iron.
Iron.
Salmon.
Salmon.
Caramel.
Caramel.
Fire.
Fire.
Water.
Water.
Shore.
Sure.
Ruin.
Ruin.
Crane. Crown.
Crayon.
Toilet.
Toilet.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Pecan.
Pecan.
Both.
Both.
Again.
Again.
Probably.
Probably.
Spitting image.
Spitting image.
Ow. You just made fun of me there.
Did I?
Yes. Alabama.
Alabama.
Lawyer.
Lawyer.
Coupon.
Coupon.
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Syrup.
Syrup.
Pajamas.
Pajama.
Caught.
Caught.
Now we have to answer these questions. So, what is it called when you throw toilet paper on a house?
TPing or toilet papering.
TPing, or I call it TPing or toilet papering. And all of the people in like the UK and Australia and Europe, different parts of Europe are like, do people really do that? I don't think either of us is either going to confirm or deny any shenanigans we may or may not have been involved in our misguided youth. However, what I will say is, and I think Joe also gave a pretty good description of what it actually is, but she did not mention this. But usually when people I knew went going to TP in a house, they also took eggs, and so egg in the house was also part of it. With raw, you throw the raw eggs at the house as well. And just a little PSA for any children who may be watching or teenagers: TPing, egging is vandalism. You will get in trouble. And by the way, I just noticed we have a third host, and that is Tracy Ann. Look, I knew if both of us were on this couch, she would want to be a part of it. So the next question we must answer is, what is the bug when you touch it, it curls into a ball?
Potato bug.
I've also heard it called a pill bug or a roly-poly. What is the bubbly carbonated drink called?
Coke.
I call it soda. I haven't heard anybody say this yet, but when we lived in New Orleans, I heard a lot of people call it cold drinks. They want a cold drink. What do you call gym shoes?
Sneakers.
I call them tennis shoes. What do you say to address a group of people?
Hey, you guys.
I say, hey, y'all. What do you call a kind of spider that has an oval-shaped body and extremely long legs?
Terrifying.
Daddy long legs.
Same.
I think that's what they meant. I think that's what they meant. Oh, what did you call your grandparents? He's got to be honest. I already told him I informed him of this question and that he had to be honest right out him.
I called my maternal grandparents Honey and Papa, and my paternal grandparents Mima and Papa.
I just think it's cute. I got to meet Honey, so I like that they called her Honey. Anyway, oh, I called mine Grandma and Grandpa, and then if they were in the same room, which they often were, I guess that's a weird thing. My grandparents knew and liked each other. So if you'd be at a family event, they might be together. So then you would say Grandma and Grandpa in their respective last names. But I also had a granny, which I thought was just something we did, that we called my great-grandmother on my father's side Granny. But I think it's a Kentucky thing. So if you had a great-grandmother you called Granny, and you tell me if that's a Kentucky thing, or it's just a thing, but yeah, I had a granny. What do you call the wheeled contraption in which you carry groceries at the supermarket?
Cart.
Yeah, I call it a grocery cart. This is not on there, but I wish it was. So I don't get to add a question, but if I did, I would say, what do you call it when you go shopping for food?
Going to the grocery store.
I also say I'm going to go get groceries, but in New Orleans, people used to say I'm going to go make groceries. Which I don't quite understand. I have a card game here called Make Groceries, like it's a thing. What do you call it when the rain falls while the sun is shining?
California?
We just called it rain.
Right, rain.
What do you call the thing you change the TV channel with?
Remote, clicker, the thing.
I also called it the TV tuner. TV tuner, I called it. That's something for the rest of the show. But anyways, another thing Heather C. and her husband did was to talk about towns close to them and say how people pronounce them. And I thought that was interesting because, you know, you go different places and things are called different things than you think they're supposed to be. So we live about 20 minutes outside of a town that's named after the same name and it's spelled the same as the country Lebanon, but it is pronounced
Lebanon.
In northern New Hampshire, or the North Country, if you will, they have a town that is spelled exactly the same as a city in Italy, and that city in Italy is called Milan. In New Hampshire, it's called
Milan.
The final city we have is same as a famous city in Germany, and the city in Germany is Berlin. Here it is
Berlin.
And we were talking and trying to figure out if there were sayings that were New Englandish that we know about. And I don't know too many. There's wicked, like things are wicked awesome. So it's like, it's another word for like really, like wicked good, wicked bad.
Calling somebody guy as a salutation.
Yeah. Hey guy. I think that's all for the. Was there any sayings that you heard growing up that was sort of regional?
No. And no.
Come hell or high water was something that was said in my house a lot. Come hell or high water, this has to get done. So it means like something's really got to get done. I also say, I know Joe's talked about fixing. I'm fixing to do something. I say that. But I also say I reckon. I reckon I'm going to do this day. So reckon means like think or I believe. Is there any other weird ones I have? It's hard to know because sometimes I just speak crazily and like
Make up words.
I make up words. Like I call the restaurant down the road, I call it the Rusty Anchor. I've also called it the Rusty Hook and the Baited Anchor.
It is actually the Baited Hook.
We've lived here about a decade. I can't get it right. So, thank you, Matthew. We will give you a round of applause now. We appreciate you adding to our community. So, on to the WIP update. I have been working pretty hard on the Precious Moments WIP. I had a question before about the back of the Precious Moments WIP and what I was going to do as far as finishing. I normally don't have really neat backs. I'm not a person who's normally concerned about my backs. I've done pretty decently on here, although I've noticed as I've got along that between the eyes I've started becoming a little lazy. And I might become less lazy over time. You can see the eye is sort of really messy. The K is a pretty good example of my normal backs. And I'm not too concerned with how messy it is. However, I have not been carrying the thread as far as I might. So as long as I'm stitching, I'll carry it for the whole row, that color. If it's like just, like if it was 20 stitches, I would carry that over. However, if it's 2 stitches here, and then maybe 8 blocks that aren't stitched at all, and then more stitching over here, I've tended to just cut it off and start a new thread here on this where it picks up again, because I didn't want to drag the thread that far. But as you see, like on the M, I dragged them some. I did drag it some. The N, I haven't dragged it hardly at all. So it really, I guess, depended on how I was feeling at the time. I also have a small finish, which is, I finished in completely. I'm pretty excited by that. Hopefully you can see her. And as I told you in the last Flosstube, these little kids take me forever and take me a couple weeks. And so M and N, I'll show you M again so you can remember what it looked like. M and N were both kids. And I am totally kitted out. I don't, like, I'm sort of losing the love for this piece because of that. So I've decided that I am going to do an animal block and then a kid block and then an animal block, because the animal blocks tend to go quicker and so you see the results quicker, and I like that. So O is for owl, so it's the animal block. I'll show you where I've gotten to on that. It's coming out pretty quick. I'm liking how O's taking shape so quickly. I will put more information about my plans as far as which letters I'm going to do after O and what I'm hoping to finish by the end of May in my blog. Because there's a WIPocalypse blog that's due this Friday, so I'm most likely going to put that into my blog. So you can check in the comments if you're interested in that. Check in the description for this video, and I'll have a link to my blog, and you can read all about that there. I also wanted to, if you've watched my crochet blog, you've seen this project. But I wanted to bring this back up. So, a few years ago, for those of you who didn't watch the crochet blog, I crocheted and then cross-stitched a Afghan for a relative of mine. And I wanted to show you the backs of that. So this is not new. This is not newly stitched. I finished it for the Christmas of 2014. So I must have started it August or September of 2014. Here's what the front looks like. It's flowers and butterflies. It's real pretty. It's a Mary Maxim pattern. I don't know the name of it. The reason why I bring it up is because when you guys asked me about the backs of this current Afghan I'm doing, I said, well, I'm not too worried about it coming out because of this Afghan here. I made this for a relative who was elderly, and she, after receiving this, ended up living in an assisted living home. So this was washed how they wash. So it was washed in hot water, it was washed repeatedly and heavily, and it never did. I thought it would fall apart, to be honest with you. It did not fall apart. I actually carried on this one further sometimes than I'm carrying on that. On my Afghan, on my alphabet Afghan. I don't know if you can see that, where I've carried the thread. And guys, look, this is held up beautifully. She was in there from that Christmas until this November 2015. So this was washed a bunch of times. Probably almost every week. And so I'm not real worried about this current alphabet Afghan I'm doing not lasting. I don't put, and I didn't in this, put any knots in my work, and it still is held up. And I think the person that's going to get this will probably be washing this gentler than this was washed. It probably will still be in warmer water, because as we all know, children make a mess, and so it will be washed probably in warm water. So I'm not real worried about it falling apart or having any type of thing happen because I didn't finish the back. I just left it as a cross stitch. And you know, I was thinking about it. I have a couple of Afghans that I purchased that you can see sort of where it's sort of stitched on. And so I don't know if people are too particular about that. So I'm personally not worrying about it. For me, it's okay. I'm sure other people might have other ideas, but for me, it's all right. That's my plan currently. I also got some news from a comment, and this is the name of the person who commented, by the way, but their username on YouTube is Oh Well Too Bad. Well, anyways, Oh Well Too Bad commented that Pat Carson, who did this pattern that I'm currently doing, has a Facebook page, and it is entitled Pat Carson Because You Count. That's Pat Carson Because You Count Facebook page, and it's a group, so you have to ask to join. And they told me, Oh Well Too Bad said that Pat will sell you these type of patterns. There's several ones that they did. There's this baby collection, and a couple of just precious moments pictures and different things like that they also did around the same time this was made. So if you're interested in this pattern, you might still be able to actually purchase it from Pat Carson on Facebook. So you might want to check into that. I have another problem that I need your help with. So, previously, when I did my first Flosstube video, I did tell you I was using the DMC metallic thread that this particular pattern calls for. But what I forgot to mention is my bobbination situation. So my bobbination situation is this. You see? It has gone to hell and back. I don't know what to do about this. Are you not supposed to put the metallic threads on a bobbin? That's my first question. Did I just totally mess it up? Number one. Number two, I have Thread Heaven, and I have tried to use it to keep it from fraying and splitting. As you can see, like this is supposed to be one thread, and it's split. I don't know if you can see that. You see that? Anyway, it's split. It's split. It's split up. Anyway, how do I prevent that? Thread Heaven is not totally preventing it with this DMC metallic thread. How do I, what else could I do? Because you can see it's a hot mess. Bobbination situation. So if you have any suggestions about my bobbination situation, please help me. Please let me know. I would be gladly receiving that tip. So that's about it for the Alphabet Afghan. So as you can see, and if you watched my previous crochet video, you know that most of the projects I'm doing right now are for other people. And I do that a lot. I do projects for other people because really I stitch and I crochet because it helps with anxiety. It helps me relax more than TV or anything else does. And if I can do it for somebody, I'm more likely to actually do it. So it's a self-care problem and solution for me. So I'll actually do something that helps me relax if it's for somebody else. So I normally do stuff for other people. I have none of my own stitching hanging about. Nowhere. I have none of my crochet hanging about. Nope. They've all gone to live other places. But I have so many patterns that I purchased specifically for me. For me to do, for me to love. But I always put those off. So Heat is having their second challenge of the year. I didn't do the first challenge because I had so much going on at work and home, and I just had enough going on that I decided not to do the first challenge. So I've decided to do the second challenge. I have no clue that I'll finish, guys. I'm under no illusion that I'll actually finish this project or this page by June 15th. But I have started it. It is called, I am doing a page from the Morning of Icarus. It is a classical painting, so the woman's behind, you can see her behind rather well. The painting itself is by Herbert Draper, and it was charted by Michelle Seata. And of course, it's a Heaven and Earth design. So, if you are looking for this, and I will put a link to it in the description of this video if it's still up there. I found it in the Art of Antiquities. Some of my favorite hay charts are in the Art of Antiquities subheading. So if you haven't checked those out, check them out. They're so darn beautiful. I actually was going to do, they have a Hay 2016 New Year, New Start. And I was going to do a different one for that. And I sort of got turned off of that, unfortunately. But it's a beautiful chart as well. I just haven't started it. So here is where I am on the morning of Icarus. Hopefully you can see it this way. As you can see, it's hard to see what the heck I'm doing because I started with winter white. I don't know what possessed me to start with the winter white, but I did. I started with the winter white. This is on 25 count Dublin linen, and it's a flax coloring. And just so you know, on everything cross stitch, it is listed under Wisholt fabric. And I forget who did it, but someone did a whole video on Wisholt fabric and Zweigart fabric, saying the difference, and it talked about the selvage and this little line here. So I think what that actually means, if it says Wisholt but has this, it may actually be manufactured by Zweigart but be colored by Wisholt. In other words, Wisholt is the one who dyed it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but if you look on everythingcrossstitch.com and you're looking for this color of 25 count Dublin linen, it would be under the Wisholt heading. That being said, you guys are looking at one of my dirty little secrets. Yep, just like a little kid, a little teenager, little person, I have masking taped the edge of my fabric so it doesn't fray. You might be saying, why on earth would you do that? Because I don't sew. And I know there's other things you can do, but before looking into that, does anybody have on Flosstube or on YouTube some type of video that tells you how to serge this? If you have such a video, or you know someone who does, please put it in the comments, because I would, like a grown person, like to use my sewing machine and serge the edge of these like an adult. But I just don't know how to do it. And please make sure it's a video that's for the beginning or beginner sewer, because as I told you before, I cannot sew. Like, to save my life, cannot sew. I do own a sewing machine though, so please, if you can, help me. Oh, this is my latest stashquisition, this fabric. I have no problem with hauling, by the way. I have and do haul every now and again. I haven't hauled in a while. I haven't purchased a whole lot in a while. We have goals we're trying to meet as a family, and so I've agreed to those goals, so not hauling. However, my birthday is coming up at the end of May, so maybe, hoping, some people might buy me some stitchy stuff. My mother, I think as a part of my birthday gift, or as my birthday gift, has bought me some stitchy stuff. So when that gets here, I'll show it to you. And I might purchase myself a pattern. I'm not quite sure yet. But I probably won't have too many haul videos for the foreseeable future. This could change, but for the foreseeable future, probably not. And like I said, not that I'm against hauling. I'm not. It's just not, it's just not what I'm doing at this moment. Now, that being said, I did tell you I am considering purchasing myself a new pattern. Which, if you knew how many patterns I have laying around my house, you'd be like, you may not need one. But in a video, in a Flosstube video, once again, I don't remember who it was. I watched Flosstube. I don't know if you guys know you can do this. Or maybe I'm just coming late to a party that everyone else knew about. You never do know with me. You can take from your phone, if you're watching YouTube on your phone, and you have a smart TV or a smart Blu-ray player or a smart something that I believe it has to connect to the internet, but I'm not 100% sure, but it has to at least have some type of screen sharing or something capability. But from the YouTube app on your smartphone, you can press a button and it will put it up on your TV. So I use my Blu-ray player. My TV's not smart. My Blu-ray player is pretty smart. And I just search Flosstube and play it. Matter of fact, I made my husband watch like a whole weekend of Flosstube, like a long weekend, like 4 days long of Flosstube, to an extent that he was like, I never want to see another Flosstube video. But so some of these I've watched on TV and they just came up automatically, and so I don't actually remember who it was, and I'm not subscribed to them. Although if it is you that said this, please tell me, because I loved you. I didn't subscribe to you, but I want to subscribe to you. Please put in the comments that it was you. But someone had mentioned they went on a trip and went to a L&S and bought a house from the series Victorians Across America. Is this sounding familiar to anyone? And that they were going to do it. And I think there's someone in Australia who's also doing a Victorian Across America, but she changed the color of it, maybe, the color of the house. So I just love the house. I love Victorians. I live in New Hampshire. I don't live in a Victorian house. I live in 928 square feet of condo. But I live around Victorian houses. I have often told my husband if he's going to make me stay here in New Hampshire, we should buy a Victorian house. It just hasn't happened yet. I haven't convinced him yet. But I just love the patterns. And so I was looking through the patterns the other day. I couldn't sleep, so in bed on my smartphone I'm looking at the at the patterns. And I noticed that they have in those patterns the Winchester Mystery House as a pattern in this series. That house is in California. If I get it, I'll talk more about the house. But it's a beautiful house. But I'm dying now. Now I'm like, I have to have this pattern. Well, I don't. I already have it in my stash. So I am thinking I will make that stash acquisition pretty soon. Pretty soon. So you'll be able to see it. Hopefully. Maybe next month. Maybe in June. But soon. Along in that series, they also have like Christmas Victorian series where their house is, but it's at Christmas time. And in that series, they have a house that's in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. And that's the closest house to where I live now. It's not real close. It's several hours away still, but it's closer than the New York houses and all that. So I might also eventually do that one as well. But we'll see. But definitely, I might, like the purchasing power of the Winchester Mystery House is calling to me. Another thing I think I've talked my husband into, I don't quite know, is I might also subscribe to the Just Cross Stitch magazine. I don't know. I love it. The Queen of Starts did a video recently, and she... Was it the Queen of Starts? Oh, the Stash Queen. I think it was the Queen of Starts. where she talked about patterns that she liked from this current Just Cross Stitch magazine. And I gotta say, most of the cross stitch magazines I'm not into. I would say my stitching style is probably more like the Morning of Icarus, like the Are the Antiquities, that kind of thing calls to me. But I also am thinking that the Just Cross Stitch magazine has so many things that are sort of my style, like the coasters this in the June edition. They have chest coasters, which I'm like, that's so cool. That's just too cool for me. That I need. So another stash acquisition I'm hoping to make. I'm hoping I get it for a birthday gift, but if I don't, I think I might also be just buying this for myself, is the Queen of Freedom. I want to do a Mirabilia. They have a Liberty pattern, and I forget what she's called. There's a tall one, and it says Liberty underneath it. But I think it's out of print, and the only place I could find it was eBay, and they wanted like $125 for that baby, and I don't think so. But there's a newer one that's called the Queen of Freedom, and she's not standing up, she's sitting down, and her dress has this sort of patriotic this, patriotic design on the bottom of it. And so I could so see that in my house. So I might also make that one. We'll see. We'll see. But definitely the Winchester Mystery House, I'm going to have to buy. So my plans for now until next month is I'm going to try to get a couple more letters done. I would really like to get this Alphabet Afghan done by July, by the end of July. We'll see about that. And to hopefully get the page done by June 15th of the Morning of Icarus. I'm also, on my birthday, on May 25th, I'm going to have a new start that's just for me. I have the fabric. I bought it years ago. I bought 95% of the thread years ago. I just haven't started her. I'm going to start her. I haven't pulled her yet to show her to you. I'm going to let it wait. It's not a pattern I've seen a lot on Flosstube. However, I've seen a lot in Facebook. So it's a common pattern, but not here on Flosstube maybe. Or maybe people did them years ago and I'm late to the party. So, as usual, it's okay. So until next time, happy stitching.